Think back to just 5 or 10 years ago. Think about the way you moved through the world. You probably didn't think twice about lifting a heavy bag of mulch for the garden or carrying a carry-on suitcase into the overhead bin of an airplane. But lately, things have started to feel different. It is subtle. It is not a sharp pain or a sudden injury that lands you in the doctor's office. Instead, it is a heavy feeling in your limbs when you climb a flight of stairs. It is that slight, almost imperceptible hesitation before you stand up from a deep, comfortable sofa. Most men my age dismiss these moments. We tell ourselves we are just getting older, or that we had a long day. But as a doctor who has spent decades studying the biology of aging, I am here to tell you that these are not just signs of getting older. These are the first whispers of a physiological shift that can determine the quality of the rest of your life. I am Dr. Sage Sr. My mission is to help men navigate the complexities of health after 60 with science and dignity. Today, we are talking about muscle loss, but we are not talking about bodybuilding or looking good at the beach. We are talking about your survival, your independence, and your ability to remain the man you have always been. In this video, I am going to reveal the single most important sign that you are losing muscle. And I will tell you right now, it is not what you think. It isn't the size of your biceps or the strength of your bench press. It is a sign that shows up in your everyday movements, often years before you realize you are in trouble. If you miss this sign, you aren't just losing muscle mass. You are losing your metabolic health, your bone density, and eventually your freedom. But if you catch it now, you can reverse the clock. I'm going to show you exactly why this is happening to your body and provide you with a 3-step protocol to stop the decline in its tracks. Stick with me because what you learn in the next 20 minutes could be the difference between a vigorous retirement and a steady decline into frailty. To fight an enemy, you first have to name it. In the medical world, we call the age-related loss of muscle mass and function sarcopenia. The word comes from the Greek meaning poverty of the flesh. It is a haunting description, but for many American men over 60, it is a biological reality. Here is the cold, hard truth of human biology. After the age of 30, the average man begins to lose between 3 to 8% of his muscle mass every single decade. That might not sound like much when you are 40 or 50. You can compensate, you can push through, but once you hit the milestone of 60, the rate of decline doesn't just continue, it accelerates. It's like a car that has been slowly leaking oil for years, and suddenly, the engine begins to smoke. Why does this happen specifically to us as men? It's a combination of several biological factors. First, there is the decline in anabolic hormones. Your testosterone levels and growth hormone levels are not what they were in your 20s. These hormones are the chemical signals that tell your body to repair and build muscle. When those signals get quieter, your body enters a state of catabolism, where it breaks down muscle tissue faster than it can replace it. Second, there is a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. As we age, our muscles become less responsive to the protein we eat and the exercise we do. You could eat the same steak and lift the same weight you did at 40, but your 60-year-old body won't use those resources as efficiently. But perhaps the most critical factor is the loss of motor neurons. Think of your brain as a power grid and your muscles as the lights in a house. As we age, some of the wires in that grid start to fray. When the connection between your nervous system and your muscle fibers is lost, those muscle fibers simply wither away. Specifically, we lose our type 2 muscle fibers first. These are the fast-twitch fibers responsible for power, speed, and reaction time. This is why a man over 60 might still be able to walk for miles, but struggles to catch himself if he trips on a curb. Sarcopenia is a silent thief. It doesn't just make you weaker, it changes your entire metabolism. Muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in your body. It is your primary sink for blood sugar. When you lose muscle, your risk for type 2 diabetes skyrockets. Your bones, which rely on the tension of strong muscles to stay dense, begin to become brittle. I see it every day in my practice. A man loses his muscle, then he loses his balance, then he suffers a fall, and that fall becomes the beginning of the end. But it doesn't have to be your story. Understanding that sarcopenia is a medical condition rather than an inevitable fate is your first step toward total prevention. We're going to look at how to identify the very first sign of this condition before it's too late. Now we come to the core of our discussion. What is that first sign? Many men think they will notice muscle loss when they look in the mirror and see their chest sagging or their arms looking thinner, but those are late-stage signs. The first real warning is much more subtle, and it involves something we call functional power. The first sign you are losing muscle after 60 is the way you transition from a seated position to a standing one. Think about this carefully. When you get up from your favorite recliner or a low dining chair, do you find yourself needing to use your hands to push off the armrests? Do you feel a need to rock your body forward to gain momentum? If the answer is yes, you have just identified the first sign of sarcopenia. This is known as the chair rise transition. It requires the explosive power of your quadriceps, glutes, and core. When you lose those type 2 fast twitch fibers we talked about earlier, the first thing to go is your ability to generate force quickly. You might still be able to walk a mile, but your ability to lift your own body weight against gravity is failing. This is a red alert. Beyond the chair, there is another critical marker, your grip strength. In the medical community, we often refer to grip strength as a sixth vital sign, right alongside blood pressure and heart rate. Research has shown that a weak grip is one of the strongest predictors of all-cause mortality and cognitive decline in men over 60. If you find that opening a jar of pickles has become a struggle, or if you feel your hand fatigue quickly when carrying a grocery bag, it is not just about your hands, it is a reflection of your total systemic muscle integrity. Your grip is the gateway to your nervous system's ability to recruit muscle. When that grip weakens, it tells me as a doctor that the connection between your brain and your muscles is fraying. This lack of neuromuscular drive is the invisible thief that precedes the actual shrinking of the muscle tissue itself. You might be wondering, why now? Why does everything seem to accelerate once we cross the threshold of 60? It is because 60 is a biological tipping point where several negative cycles converge at once. First, we have to talk about the hormonal environment. For most American men, the decline in testosterone is a slow crawl that begins in our 30s. But by 60, many men have hit a level that we call clinically low or suboptimal. Testosterone is not just about libido. It is the primary signal for muscle protein synthesis. Without enough of it, your body simply doesn't see the point in maintaining expensive, energy-consuming muscle tissue. Then there is a process we call inflammaging. This is a state of chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation that often peaks in our 60s. It is like a smoldering fire inside your tissues. This inflammation produces cytokines that actively break down muscle protein. If you find yourself feeling stiff every morning or dealing with nagging aches that never go away, that is inflammaging at work, and it is eating your muscle from the inside out. Furthermore, your digestive efficiency changes. As we age, our stomachs produce less hydrochloric acid. This makes it significantly harder for your body to break down and absorb the amino acids from the protein you eat. You might be eating a high-quality steak, but if your gut can't extract the nutrients, your muscles remain starving. Finally, there is the psychological trap of the golden years. In our culture, we are told that 60 is the time to slow down, to sit back, and to avoid strain. This is perhaps the most dangerous advice a man can follow. The moment you stop challenging your muscles with resistance, your body begins a process called use it or lose it. In your 60s, this process happens at triple the speed it did in your 20s. When you choose the path of least resistance, your biology follows suit. If you want to stop this decline, we have to start in the kitchen. But I want to throw away the standard advice you've been given for years. Most people tell seniors to eat light or focus only on fiber and vegetables. While vegetables are great, for a man over 60, the most important macronutrient is protein. There is a concept you must understand called the leucine threshold. Leucine is a specific amino acid that acts like a chemical on switch for muscle building. In a younger man, it only takes a small amount of protein to flip that switch. But after 60, due to the anabolic resistance I mentioned earlier, you need a much higher dose of leucine to get the same effect. This means that a light breakfast of toast or a small bowl of cereal is doing nothing for your muscles. To trigger muscle repair, every meal you eat should contain between 30 and 40 grams of high-quality protein. This is the amount required to overcome the aging resistance of your cells. You should be looking for complete proteins: lean beef, poultry, wild-caught fish, and eggs. If you are struggling to get that much protein from whole foods, this is where high-quality whey protein supplementation becomes a medicinal tool. Whey is particularly high in leucine and is absorbed quickly, making it the perfect post-workout or breakfast addition. In addition to protein, we must address two critical cofactors: vitamin D3 and omega-3 fatty acids. Most men over 60 in the United States are deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D is not just for bones. There are vitamin D receptors directly on your muscle cells. Without it, your muscles cannot contract with full power. Omega-3s, found in fish oil, are your primary weapon against inflammaging. They help sensitize your muscles to protein and reduce the inflammation that causes muscle breakdown. Think of omega-3s as the oil that keeps your biological engine running smoothly. Lastly, never underestimate the power of hydration. Muscle tissue is approximately 70% water. Even mild dehydration can lead to a loss of muscle volume and a decrease in strength. As you age, your thirst mechanism becomes less reliable. You cannot wait until you are thirsty to drink. You must hydrate as a matter of discipline to keep your muscle cells plump and metabolically active. Control your nutrition, and you provide your body with the raw materials to fight back against the clock. We have discussed the signs and we have fixed your plate. Now we must discuss the most vital component of all: how you use your body. Many men tell me, Dr. Sage, I stay active, I walk 2 miles every morning. My response is always the same. Walking is wonderful for your heart and your mood, but it will not save your muscles. To stop sarcopenia, you must engage in resistance training. This is not about vanity. This is about biological necessity. When you lift a weight that is challenging, you are sending a survival signal to your brain. You are telling your body that it still needs those muscle fibers, and therefore it must invest the energy to keep them. The first principle you must embrace is progressive overload. You cannot lift the same 5-pound dumbbell for 5 years and expect your body to change. Your muscles only grow when they are forced to adapt to a load they aren't used to. You don't need to become a power lifter, but you do need to gradually increase the weight or the number of repetitions over time. Focus on what we call compound movements. These are exercises that use multiple joints and muscle groups at once. They give you the biggest bang for your buck. First, the squat. Since the first sign of muscle loss shows up when you stand up from a chair, the best way to fight back is to practice that exact movement. Squatting strengthens your glutes, quads, and core. Second, the push-up. Whether you do them on the floor or against a kitchen counter, this builds your chest, shoulders, and triceps, ensuring you can still push yourself up if you ever find yourself on the ground. Third, the deadlift or hinge movement. Learning to pick up a weight from the floor with a flat back is the single best way to protect your spine and maintain your independence. But here is the secret for men over 60. Focus on the speed of the movement. Remember those type 2 fast twitch fibers? To recruit them, you should perform the lifting phase of an exercise with explosive intent. Stand up from that squat quickly, then lower yourself down slowly and under control. This power training is what keeps you agile and prevents falls. Aim for 3 sessions a week, 30 minutes each. Give your body 48 hours between sessions to recover. Remember, you don't grow muscle in the gym. You grow muscle while you are sleeping and recovering from the work you did in the gym. I understand that for many of you, the idea of lifting weights at 60 or 70 feels intimidating. Perhaps you are afraid of injury. You might think, my back isn't what it used to be, or my knees are bone on bone. As a doctor, I want to reframe that fear for you. You aren't fragile because you exercise. You are fragile because you don't. The risk of an injury in the gym is minimal compared to the risk of a hip fracture caused by weak muscles and poor balance. We are not training for a trophy. We are training for the centenarian Olympics. We are training so that at 85 you can still pick up your grandchild or carry your own luggage or walk up a flight of stairs without fear. I want to tell you about a patient of mine. Let's call him Jim. At 65, Jim had given up on hiking, his lifelong passion, because his legs felt heavy and he was losing his balance. He thought his hiking days were over. When we identified the signs of sarcopenia, we started him on a high-protein diet and a basic resistance routine. It wasn't easy at first. There were days he wanted to quit. But Jim focused on discipline over motivation. Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, but discipline is a choice you make every morning. 6 months later, Jim wasn't just hiking again. He was outperforming men 10 years younger than him. He didn't find a fountain of youth. He simply gave his body the signals and the nutrients it needed to do what it was designed to do. You have to find your why. Is it to stay out of a nursing home? Is it to remain the protector of your family? Is it to enjoy the wealth you've worked so hard to build? Muscle is the currency of health. If you don't invest in it now, you will be bankrupt later. We have covered a lot of ground today. We have identified the first sign of muscle loss, that subtle struggle to stand up from a chair and the weakening of your grip. We have explored the biological reasons why the age of 60 is such a critical tipping point. And we have laid out a roadmap of high-protein nutrition and resistance training to help you reclaim your strength. If you take only 5 things away from this talk, let them be these. 1. Watch your movement. If you're pushing off your knees to stand up, it's time to act. 2. Hit your protein goals. 30 to 40 grams at every meal, no exceptions. 3. Lift something heavy 3 times a week. Challenge your muscles so they have a reason to stay. 4. Optimize your vitamin D and omega-3s to fight inflammation. And 5. Never accept frailty as a natural part of aging. It is an option, not a destiny. I want to hear from you. Go to your favorite chair right now. Try to stand up without using your hands. Can you do it easily? If not, how many times can you do it in 30 seconds? Comment your results below. I read these comments, and they help me understand how I can better serve this community of men who are refusing to go quietly into the night. If you found this information valuable, please hit the subscribe button. My goal as Dr. Sage Sr. is to provide you with the unfiltered medical truth about aging that you won't hear in the mainstream media. Share this video with a friend or a brother. Let's build a generation of men who are stronger at 70 than they were at 50. Your muscles are your lifeline. Don't let them wither away. I am Dr. Sage Sr., and I will see you in the next video. Stay strong.